Okay, good evening. Let's start our adult education class. It's my pleasure to be sharing this time with you. And I would like to talk in this opportunity about my thoughts and, in fact, a reflection about what's going on from October 7th till today, and to try to understand the situation of hate, love, and hate. And I will try to explain why I put these feelings in that order: hate, love, and hate. And we will try to go from and to see some important things that happened during the history, not just in the year and a half. The first things that we need is to remember that 59 hostages still in Gaza. We heard from the mouth of the American president that just 21 hostages still alive, not the others. We understand that many of them were killed in October 7, and the bodies were taken to Gaza, but many others perhaps died in the tunnels. Sorry, a year and a half, 580 days that they still there. Why I talking about hate, love, and hate? Because the Israel as a country before October 7 was against Netanyahu's administration and people who are against, but the difference between the two sides, it's very big, and the relationship inside the country is from hate. Yes, the people hate the others. They don't give to think different. When someone think different, they don't agree. You don't have right to exist, and they try to fight to disconsider your existence. And this is what we saw in this Israeli society. It was divided. It was hate between brothers and sisters. And all of a sudden, in October 7, everybody changed their minds. They forgot this hate, and they developed the solidarity around the victims, about the people who were killed, about the families who were suffering. And we can see that after many, many months, the hate came again. And we see this hate again between the population, between who are in favor and who are against Netanyahu. And this is a very bad feeling when you have a divided society inside the country, and this country is not in a normal situation, it's in war. And when you have ministers who are from the extreme right, we have really a very big problem. And when other countries like America are giving more information that their own administration to the population, it's really a big problem. But I would like to reflect, and I would like to say that for me, Israel changed forever after Yitzhak Rabin assassination. When Yitzhak Rabin was killed in 1995, November 4th, for me, Israel changed forever, because Israel became a country like other countries. I'm here in America, and it's sad to say, but you have a lot of experience in presidents who were killed, and who were killed by American citizens. One American who killed another American, and not a simple citizen, a president. When Yitzhak Rabin was killed by a Jewish, Israel for me became a country like others, because we talk and we was very proud to talk about the Jewish values and the Jewish law and how important it's to live a life by the Jewish values. But it was impossible to understand that a Jew who keep mitzvot, who keep commandments, can kill the prime minister. And why Yitzhak Rabin was killed? Because he signed the peace agreements with the Arab countries. We can remember also that the Egyptian president Anwar el-Sadat also was killed because he signed the peace agreement with Israel. People who used to sign peace agreements didn't have a happy end. And this is something that you can see all around the world, not just in Middle East. But Middle East is a special place because we have, in fact, countries who are not so old. For example, Jordan, Israel, 1947, 1948, all, and the Middle East after the Second World War was divided by the British Empire and part for the French country, for France. Okay. The power countries who were in the area, they went out from the Middle East, and then some of these countries became independent. But Israel is a special case because we came to a national land, a national home, and we need to remember that we built this nation and this state as a consequence of the worst tragedy that the people can suffer, like an Holocaust. But we never imagined that in that land, after 76 years of independence, Jews were killed by Hamas, by a terrorist group. It was the worst tragedy after the Holocaust. In one day, just in one day, more than 1,200 Israeli citizens were killed. And we need to add to this number more than 800 soldiers who were killed after the war with Hamas started. We are talking about more than 2,000 people who were killed in this last year and a half. It's really a big number. No one can understand. And this is the worst time for the Israeli people after the Holocaust, because we have terrorist attacks here and there in the communities, but not in the state of Israel, a tragedy like this. Other important thing that we can compare during the Israeli story, nobody can explain till today what happened in October 7th. And Israel shows that it's a vulnerable country, the vulnerability. Yes, we are not strongest. We are not the most strong country in the world. And what about intelligence, the army intelligence? And we have a situation similar in another time of our story. Do you remember with which time in the history we can compare October 7 about what was happened with the Israeli intelligence? With the Kippur War. The Kippur War in 1973, the Egyptian army attacked Israel, and nobody knows. Nobody expect for this attack, and we can call that it was really like a shortcut, like an intelligence shortcut. And here happened the same. You know that in the border with Gaza, there were many army positions, and generals and captains receive the reports from the soldiers. And the soldiers said, there are strange movements inside Gaza, close the border, but nobody took seriously these reports from the soldiers. Nobody. Yes, they receive information. Some strange movements around the border, the fence border, and this situation can be compared with the War of Kippur. In 1973, we need to remember that Yom Kippur, it's the most important day in the Jewish calendar, where everybody were attended the different services. Who is the army in Israel? Their own citizens. And what happened in that day? The tradition, everybody fast in that day. If you fast, you don't have power, you don't have energy. And instead to be in the front, instead to be gathering with other soldiers in the base, the people were in the synagogues, fasting. And the people, it's the citizens, the army, the same army. When we are talking about the army in Israel, we are not talking about the professional army. We are talking about the citizens. And this is really a very big problem that we can compare October 7 with the War of Kippur. What was happened with the intelligence, we don't know, but just a couple of days ago, the main authorities of security in Israel were changed. Okay, we have another general who lead the army, and we need another person who lead the intelligence and the secret service. What was happening? Yes, we were so proud about Israel and about our army, and we can fight. If we revise the story, we can fight, and we fight against many armies from the Arab countries, but nothing worked on October 7th. Other point that we don't know if it was planning or not, it was the Nova Festival in South Israel, just very close to Gaza border, a youth gathering with music, and the terrorists found very easy the young people just dancing, a few number of policemen to take care for a youth festival, but not an army. The information that we have that the army took more than 1 hour and a half to arrive to the kibbutzim. 1 hour and a half to arrive. It was enough time to the terrorists to enter to the kibbutzim, to kill the people, and to return to Gaza. It was really very, very bad. We need also to analyze the anti-Semitism. It's growing up around the world. And one of the most important things that happened after the existence of the state of Israel that our enemies try to confuse the different populations, and they try to say that anti-Semitism, it's the same of anti-Zionism. Before the state of Israel, it was not anti-Zionism. After the state of Israel, there are people who are against the existence of the state of Israel, and they consider themselves anti-Zionism. But we can say that anti-Semitism in the 21st century, it's the same of anti-Zionism, and anti-Zionism is the same of anti-Semitism. This is what they're trying to develop. Yes, we have students in American universities with Palestinian flags who are against Israel. You can understand this as anti-Zionism, but these people don't know nothing about this culture. Many of these students have Jewish classmates, and perhaps they have very nice relationship with the Jewish colleagues, but they are against the state of Israel. And this is something I heard from these people. I don't have nothing against Jews, but I'm against the state of Israel. If you are against the state of Israel, you are against Jews, because it's the unique country in the world that it's the national land of the people of Israel. We don't have another land. It's just our land. And another thing that we need to understand, that it's just one country in the world that you have the right to be a citizen, that it's the state of Israel. It's a law that called the return law, that if you can prove that you are a Jew, that it's enough to become an Israeli citizen. You arrive to the land of Israel, and when you arrive to the Ben Gurion airport, you receive your Israeli ID. This is something that not happening in any other country. If you need a new nationality, if you like to be a citizen, you need to live in the country for many years to have the right to receive your citizenship, to receive your passport, to receive the right to vote, to have your bank account, to have a place to live, to receive a salary, to receive a food, to receive culture. Okay, and we need to understand how important is the state of Israel. I also, as a Jew, reject other Jews who don't take care about what's going on in the state of Israel. Okay, I'm against Israel. You can't be, as a Jew, against Israel. You can be against the administration of the state of Israel, but you can be against the unique state of the Jewish people. You can agree or you can disagree with the Netanyahu's administration, but we as a Jew, it's unconditional. We need to support the state of Israel. Try to imagine how will be the diaspora without a strong land state of Israel. And try to imagine our brothers in Israel. Let's try to imagine a state of Israel without a strong Jewish diaspora. Yes, the state of Israel received a lot of support from the main support who received the state of Israel is from this country, from America, from the Jewish who live in America. And this is very important to remind during these times. I'm talking about universities, and also we can see with this new administration. Perhaps the anti-Semitism in campus decrease because it's a pressure for this administration. But we saw last year, I saw by myself here in UCR students with the Palestinian flag. And it was really very, very difficult for students and professors, Jewish professors, to teach and to study in our university in town. And try to imagine what was going in Columbia, Harvard, and another important universities in the States and all around the world. We can see this, and we can see also the situation. Let me share a map. I would like to share a map with you. Let's allow this. We have here the map of Middle East. We have here Israel, in north, Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and Egypt. Okay, you can see the size of Egypt. This is just the peninsula, but Egypt is one of the biggest country in Africa. You can see the size of Saudi Arabia. And we have nowadays, the big enemy is Iran. I have another maps. Let me share another maps to have an idea about the distance between Israel, because we have the enemy in the north. In the north, when we are talking in the north, we are talking about Hezbollah in Lebanon. We are talking about Hamas in Gaza. Okay. Here it's Hezbollah. Here is Hamas. Here is the Houthis. They are really far. They are here in Yemen. And we also have the big enemy, who is Iran. But let's try to see the distance between Israel and, for example, the Houthis. We are talking about the Houthis. We are talking about what was happened this week. A missile, yes, from Yemen went directly to the Ben Gurion airport area. I know that it's impossible to arrive, but just to have an idea, we are talking about, this is in kilometers, 2,500 kilometers. Let me see in miles. I had this. It's like 1,200 miles, something like this. It's not far, but it's not so close. In a plane, in a regular plane, 1,200 miles, perhaps you can do this distance in 1 hour and a half. But in an army plane, in a supersonic plane, it's less, but also it's far. This is the distance between Israel and Yemen. We have here the Red Sea, and nowadays the American Navy is here in the Red Sea, helping Israel to prevent the attacks from the Houthis. And the Houthis are a terrorist organization. Yemen, it's a divided country, and this terrorist organization, who is very dangerous and who is supported by Iran, they are sending their bombs, missiles to Israel, and the population are still running to the shelters nowadays. When the last bomb arrives in the Tel Aviv area, in the Ben Gurion airport, the Israeli space was closed, and most of the airlines canceled their flights to Israel. I just came back from Spain, and many of my relatives came from Israel, and they changed their flights for El Al, that is the unique airline who still fly to Tel Aviv. I have many friends, many cantos who have a program nowadays in Israel, and they need to change their flights to arrive to Israel, because the unique airline that fly to Israel is El Al nowadays. And why I'm talking about this? Because they trying to target places and to target the Israeli economy. For example, one of the most important industries in any country is the tourist industry. There are less tourists in Israel, less, and try to imagine the hotels, the restaurants, transportation, all the tourist guides and companies, they don't have work. They are not working because the people are afraid to go to Israel. And the airlines try to take care for their passengers, and they cancel. Try to imagine if you are flying to Israel and you have some problem with your plane. If you died in the air, the problem is from the airline who's still flying. Then the unique plane who's still flying is El Al. And this is the reason that the tickets from El Al are really very expensive. Perhaps you pay 2, 3, or 4 times a regular plane ticket if you are flying by El Al. But because the demand is very high, and there are just a few places. I would like to show you a video to explain. I'm thinking that it's a very good video to explain the situation between Israel and Yemen and Iran. Let me share this video, and we'll be back. Okay. Can you see the video? Yes? Okay. Let me know if you can hear this sound.
Yemen, marking one of the most extensive Israeli military operations in the...
Can you hear this? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at Israel's strategy in launching a major long-range airstrike against Houthi-controlled targets in Yemen, marking one of the most extensive Israeli military operations in the region in recent years. The strike came as a direct response to a ballistic missile attack by the Houthi that landed near Ben Gurion International Airport, disrupting commercial flights. In executing the operation, the Israeli Air Force deployed more than 20 fighter jets, including advanced F-35I Adir and F-15 aircraft. Since these are long distances, they need fuel and are accompanied by aerial refueling tankers and recon planes to support the mission. With the distance between Israel and Yemen spanning roughly 1,100 miles, which translates to about 1,800 kilometers, mid-air refueling was necessary, demonstrating the IAF's capability to conduct long-range, high-precision operations far from its borders. The mission had been carefully planned over several months, and in just one command, everything is almost, you can say, automated, which allowed the Israeli military to respond swiftly. Within just 24 hours of the missile attack with predetermined GPS codes. The airstrike was aimed at weakening the Houthi military infrastructure and logistical network.
We're Phoenix Energy, a family-owned oil company focused on unleashing American oil from North Dakota and Montana.
Among the primary targets were the ports of Hodeidah and Ras Isa, which play a key role in the importation of goods and are suspected of being entry points for alleged Iranian weaponry. Striking these locations was intended to disrupt the Houthi supply chains and diminish their economic capabilities. The Hezias power plant near Sana'a was also targeted in an effort to cut off energy resources that are vital to the Houthi military operations. Houthi media and local reports indicated that the strikes extended beyond infrastructure to include Hodeidah port and urban districts such as Al-Salakana and Al-Hawak. These attacks reportedly caused damage to cargo handling facilities and several privately owned factories, contributing to a broader impact on the region's functionality. In total, Israeli fighter jets dropped around 50 precision-guided munitions on pre-selected targets, including Hodeidah port and a cement factory near the town of Bijil. While official sources did not specify the exact types of munitions used, precision-guided bombs are standard in operations of this nature. To help you understand Israel air power, you have to study the case where Israel strikes Iranian military targets. The Israeli military commonly uses this free-fall guided weapon, also known as bunker buster bombs, which relies on laser targeting and military-grade GPS. Out of the 80 bombs used, the IDF also deployed the Mark 82 weapon, the bunker buster and the GBU-39, which were part of a purchase valued at around $3 billion from the US. This is the bunker buster bomb. It has a laser sensor at the front, and just behind that are adjustable fins. In the midsection, there is a warhead that weighs approximately 650 pounds containing tritonal explosive. This is a mixture of 80% TNT and 20% aluminum powder. Finally, we have the retractable fins at the rear. To give you a better sense of its size, comparing it to a person can be helpful. The casing has a length of approximately 19 feet long, which translates to around 5 meters. This section is made of an artillery barrel, which is very strong, and has a diameter of 14.5 inches, which translates to around 37 centimeters, making it relatively narrow. They intentionally made the smaller cross-sectional area. This means the bomb displaces less material, whether earth or concrete, as it penetrates layers of reinforced bunkers or building, thus allowing it to travel further to almost 100 meters. Let's take a look at how this works. Step 1. First, a laser is used to illuminate the target, or GPS guidance is already assigned to it. Step 2. An F-15 jet flies near the illuminated target and the bomb is released. Step 3. Once the bomb is dropped, the guidance system at the front connects with the tail and fins. This enables the bomb to make precise adjustments, guiding it accurately to its target. Step 4. As mentioned, this is a bunker buster bomb designed to penetrate around 6 meters of reinforced concrete bunkers and can travel up to 100 feet of soft ground or buildings. Step 5. In the past, the GBU-28 has been equipped with a delay fuse like this one, allowing it to detonate after penetrating its target rather than exploding on impact. The bomb contains 700 pounds of TNT, which generates a blast radius of several hundred meters, quite significant for a bomb of this size. As you watch this, data brokers may be collecting and selling your personal information, your home address, phone number, online searches, and even financial details. This data doesn't just result in spam calls and scam attempts. It can also affect your personal credit score, as scammers may manipulate your data, potentially leading to a loan denial. That's where Incogni comes in to protect your privacy. The service scans the web for exposed data, sends automated removal requests, and continuously follows up to ensure your information stays deleted. It also performs regular scans to prevent data brokers from sneaking your information back into circulation, all while providing you with a clear, real-time dashboard to track your data. So take your personal data back with Incogni. Use code AITELLY with the link below incogni.com/AITELLY and get 60% off on an annual plan. To understand Israel airstrike strategy, let's examine this case study. Israel launched nearly...
This is also part of the Israeli strategy to protect their population from Iran. We saw what's going on with Yemen, but also we need to remember that in the last month, also Iran attacked Israel.
80 or more aircraft, including in an operation codenamed Days of Repentance at around 2 in the morning. Although this routes may seem straightforward, they involve complex planning, including calculations for air refueling and coordinating attack aircraft to pass through Jordan, Syria, and Iraq. They also neutralize potential air defense threats in Syria and Iraq to ensure a safe return in case they were targeted. Israel's strategy was to attack Iran in 3 waves. The first wave targeted surface air-to-air sites, radar installations, and Iran's air defense headquarters in Tehran, Elam, and Khuzestan. The second wave focused on destroying ballistic missiles, and finally, the third wave targeted military manufacturing industries. To avoid Iranian air defenses, they used the ROX missiles, which allowed them to strike from positions closer to enemy targets without requiring jets to penetrate deep into Iranian territory. Surprisingly, the Iranian Bavar 373 air defense system performed better than expected. We'll also look into how this air defense missile works and the strength of the Iranian Air Force, all in the video ahead. Let's first look at Israel fighter jets used in the operations. The tip of the spears are the 5th generation F-35 fighter jets, S-16 air defense jets, and F-15 ground attack jets, which covered approximately 1,600 kilometers, translating to around 1,000 miles. While the weapons of choice were the Blue Arrow long-range supersonic missile and the ROX next-generation extended standoff air-to-surface missile. To cover such distances, air refueling tankers were used between flights. This measure was taken in case they needed to engage in a dogfight with Iranian fighter jets and also while returning from their mission. ROX is Israel's next-generation extended standoff air-to-surface ballistics missile. What makes this missile unique is that the crew in the aircraft can control and maneuver it right up until it strikes the target. It also allows the weapon to hit targets that have moved from their original positions. But in area of high-threat situation, these bombs typically use a GPS-enabled inertial guidance system to guide them to the general target area, before switching to an imaging infrared seeker for the terminal stage of flight, destroying the targets with deep penetration or blast fragmentation as required. Surprisingly, the Bavar 373 and S-300 missiles successfully intercepted Israeli drones and some missiles. Let's take a quick look of the Bavar 373. This system uses Sayed-4 missiles, which are housed in 2 rectangular launch canisters. It features a phased array radar system for tracking both aerodynamic targets and ballistic missiles over medium to long ranges.
Have you ever heard content creators say, comment the word burgers below and I'll send you over something for free? And then when you comment...
One of the radars used in the Bavar 373 is the Mirage 4, a phased array radar with a range of 450 kilometers, which Iran claims this system can simultaneously track up to 200 targets. The Israeli attack can be divided into 3 distinct phases, first, second, and third wave, each targeting critical components of Iran's military infrastructure. The first wave focuses on disabling Iran's air defense systems. Tehran, Elam, and Khuzestan are some of the region-verified attacks also confirmed by Iran that were hit or partially damaged. Key targets include surface-to-air missile or SAM sites and radar installations, crucial for early detection and defense against aerial assaults. Iran's air defense headquarters confirmed the attacks happened, which aimed to cripple the nation's ability to track and respond to future incoming threats. while the second wave targets Iran's missile capabilities, specifically focusing on neutralizing both ballistic and hypersonic missile systems. At least 3 missile bases were attacked in a second round or second wave of Israeli strike. IDF drones also targeted the secretive Parchin military base in the outskirts of Tehran, and finally one drone made it through the Iranian air defense and hit the base while others were shot down. These strikes are designed to prevent Iran from launching retaliatory missile strikes. The third and final wave focuses on destroying key military barracks and manufacturing facilities essential to Iran's missile production and military logistics. Targets include the Qadiri barracks and Hassan Khan Castle, a missile manufacturing and preparation center. The Sepah Air Force Logistics Center and Imam Ali Barracks are allegedly included in this phase to disrupt logistical support and command structures. Israel were trying to target these missiles bases like the Fatah-1 and Fatah-2 missiles. It was used for the first time and is one of Iran's advanced missile systems. What sets it apart from other ballistic missiles is its ability to accelerate outside the Earth's atmosphere, while its aerodynamic control surfaces enable steering to evade the famous Aero Missiles defense system made by Israel. Israel was also looking to strike these ground-launched ballistic missiles that targeted the IDF bases. Iran used variants of the Shahab-3 ballistic missile in its latest attack on Israel. The Shahab-3 is the foundation for all of Iran's medium-range ballistic missiles and uses liquid propellant. From outer space, military satellites will pick up targets like this heavily fortified bunker. The Israeli are also believed to have tested these newly built LoRa missiles. Coordinates data have to brief and assign to a designated attack aircraft to strike with precision without entering into enemy airspace. This is LoRa, a ballistic missile precision engineered for accuracy capable of engaging strategic assets deep within hostile territory, from jet fighters to a heavy mission aircraft like this one. According to the company, Air LoRa can travel across vast distances, delivering fast response impact without engaging their defense systems or encroaching on enemy airspace. It does this by striking from above at a 90-degree angle with supersonic speed. This air ballistic missile can penetrate air defense shield carrying a warhead that can be guided by GPS and inertial navigation system that is immune to jamming. It is also equipped with a huge warhead that ensures critical targets are neutralized with a single strike. You might be asking, where are the Iranian fighter jets and how do they compare against Israel in this attack? Let's break this down into several parts. To fight against the F-16 and F-35 jets, the Iranian have the tip of the spear. It consists of American-made aircraft, around 64 numbers of F-4 Phantoms that Iran purchased during the Shah's regime. The F-4 Phantom is Iran's primary attack aircraft and is considered the backbone of the Iranian Air Force. In addition, Iran possesses around 40 numbers of F-14 Tomcats, also American-made, which still have the capability to pose a threat to the F-35. Iran also acquired approximately 30 MiG-29 multirole fighter jets from Russia, interestingly designed to counter the F-16. The second part of the air defense is the $800 million S-300 air defense system, which is capable of intercepting targets at a range of 120 kilometers that translates to about 75 miles. When launched on a ballistic trajectory, it can reach distances of up to 400 kilometers, that is around 250 miles. We also make original engineering content, so please subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos.
Can you please?
When I watch this kind of videos, I would like to cry, because we are talking about billions, trillions of dollars. Yes, and we are talking about technology that instead to be used by peace, it's used by war. We are trying to use these weapons to destroy the state of Israel, and Israel is doing what is possible to do to defend themselves. And here I enter as a rabbi. We have here many important Jewish values to discuss. First of all, one that it's coming from the Talmud, that it say, in ein ani li mili beinei machshav matai, if I'm not from me, who? And if it's not now, when? Sometimes we can see that Israel is too much alone. And we are fighting against many enemies. I spoke about the Houthis, the Hamas, Yemen, Iran, and we need to see that, thank God and thank to the army, Syria, it's not so dangerous nowadays because Bashar al-Assad, who was the Syrian president, he's not anymore in power, and the Syria positions are not so dangerous like in the past. But we need to remember that Israel entered to Syria, entered to the Golan, and we have nowadays more than 5 Israeli bases inside Syria. Yes, perhaps not everybody knows, but we have more than 5 bases inside Syria to take care for the Israeli territory. And we have also some bases inside Lebanon. Israel entered inside Lebanon more than 3 kilometers, and they create like a new border just to prevent Hezbollah attacks. And I was speaking with my cousin that I met last week in Spain. Two cousins, in fact. One came from Gaza directly. He was allowed to participate in the wedding. He came directly from Gaza and tried to understand. They are fighting during 20 days, and they have 7 days off to return home. And it was exactly the period of the wedding, and he asked permission, and he was allowed to go to Spain and return exactly after the 7 days. And my other cousin was in Lebanon and they don't like to be there. They would like to be home, but they understand that they need to be there. Other important thing that happen nowadays, when I spoke about hate, we can see also the problem that we have with the Haredim. The Haredim, it's the most religious population in Israel, that they are against to participate in the army. Most of them. There are 2 Orthodox divisions inside the Israeli army, and the main problem why they don't like to attend the army. Okay, the answer is that they are more useful if they are staying in the yeshivot, studying Torah and keeping the mitzvot, than to be fighting in Gaza. Other things that they are saying, that the food it's not kosher to serve the army, and this is another reason that they are giving why they don't like to serve the army, because they don't receive the appropriate kosher food or kosher style. And what I can say, that there are 2 new Orthodox divisions inside the Israeli army, but the leaders of the Haredim, the rabbis said that they don't need to fight, they don't need to serve the Israeli army. The main rabbis from the Haredi movement. Yes, Haredi, they are taking care for the commandments, and they are very meticulous taking care. And the leaders, the rabbis said, you don't need to serve the army. And for them, if the rabbi spoke these words, for them it's enough. And this is another problem because taxes are very high in Israel. And who is fighting in the army? The non-Orthodox population, the non-Orthodox citizens. Okay, they don't recognize the citizens as Jews. They don't like to go to the army. They don't pay taxes. They receive money from the government, but they are against the army. And this is why the Israeli population is divided, and why one part of the population hate the other. Okay, they are the lay leaders, and we have the people who take care from religion, but not in the way of the Haredim. You have conservative, you have reform, you have non-Orthodox soldiers, but this part of the population is against to serve the army. We have also moral problems. Yes, one I said in Einanili Mili Veinem Mashaf Matai, but also you have the word Sinat Hinam, free hate, that we need to change this free hate for Ahavat Hinam, free love. In the same way that the people hate, we need to change these feelings, and we need to stimulate the people to love the others. And we have the in the Torah, in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18, Ve'avta l'reacha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. This is something that we need to practice, and it's not so easy and so simple in the Israeli society. And of course, it's not simple with our neighbors. We need to understand also that every day the Israeli citizen need to prove the right of existence. This is something when you get up in America, you don't need to prove that you have the right to exist. All your neighbors, or many of your neighbors around you, don't agree with your existence. And this is the problem. Israel nowadays is fighting, defending his existence and the right of existence. This is something that people from other countries can understand. And they say, okay, Israel are killing the Palestinian and this and that. But we are fighting for our existence, for the right of existence. And we need to remember to all who are talking against Israel, who started this war? This war started from a terrorist group against civilian population. They didn't attack the army, the Israeli army. They entered to a democratic country and they kill kids, women, elder people, civilian population. And what is doing Israel? They defend their own population. Every country is going to do the same if their population is attacked. I'm very frustrated with I'm very disappointed with the international organizations. And there are many jokes about the Red Cross, the Red Cross, because in Israel they are making some jokes like the Red Cross is like a Uber. Yes, you take the Red Cross from Gaza and they are taking you to Israel. But what happened with the prisoner rights? Nothing. They are not asking. Nobody from the Red Cross is going to Gaza to see how are the hostages. Nobody saw the hostages. And what about the UN? We don't hear nothing about the UN. Just they condemn Israel. And this is very disappointing, and it's very sad as a Jew that this is happening. Let me show you another short video that explains this difficult situation in Middle East, because we are witnesses from this difficult situation. And this happened now. This is part of the history that others will study in books, but we are studying directly from the facts.
Iran-backed groups form a land bridge across the Middle East and connect in an alliance that Tehran calls the Axis of Resistance. Its focus, to oppose the West.
They can both transport equipment and personnel, but can also use these positions to attack U.S. interests or threaten Israel closer to its borders.
The alliance has been brought into focus amid the Hamas-Israel war, as the groups are mobilizing on multiple fronts at the same time. So here's how Iran built out the network across the Middle East, and what it means for the US and Israel.
So to show you where Iran's so-called axis of resistance works in the Middle East, you have Iran over here, and then, of course, Hamas in Gaza over here on the Mediterranean. There's another group that Iran supports in Gaza called the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, which is actually a closer ally of Iran ideologically, but also working out of Gaza here and also in the West Bank. Iran's most important militia ally is Hezbollah here in Lebanon. Aside from that, they also have Syria's President Bashar al-Assad here and various militant groups in Iraq. And then finally, they also have an alliance with the Houthis in Yemen down here south.
These connections allow Iran to expand its influence in the Middle East and make it easier for the country to transport military equipment, personnel, and weapons through the region.
One of Iran's aims in the Middle East is to always keep the military fight as far away from its own borders as possible. And the presence of these military allies in the land bridge kind of helps it do that.
To understand why Iran has this belt of influence in the region, we need to go back a few decades. Following the Iranian Revolution in 1979, Tehran has sought to exert military, cultural, and ideological dominance across the Middle East. That led to the creation of the Quds Force, a branch of the Iranian military, which was later led by Qasem Soleimani.
Soleimani became famous in the West over the past decade or so because Iran decided to elevate his profile as the mastermind, the architect behind this modern iteration of the Axis of Resistance.
یک جغرافیای 2000 کیلومتر مربعی در جنوب لبنان به 500,000 کیلومتر مربع توسعه داد.
Later, Soleimani was killed in a drone strike ordered by the US.
Soleimani was plotting imminent and sinister attacks on American diplomats and military personnel, but we caught him in the act and terminated him.
The strike was aimed at weakening Iran's ability to threaten American interests in Iraq and across the region. But that goal hasn't materialized. Iran has continued to supply groups such as Hamas with weapons and training. On October 7th, Hamas, designated a terror organization by the US, launched a broad assault on Israel, killing 1,200. Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei said immediately after the attack that Iran did not have a hand in planning it, but supported it. To try and curb Iran's influence, the US works with allied countries to have a presence of bases and troops across the Middle East.
Of course, Israel here and Saudi Arabia here as the two sort of main and closest allies against Iranian influence. Jordan has also for very long been a very firm US ally, and the US also has partners in the Gulf. The US also has a presence in some of the countries where it's competing for influence with Iran, for example, in Iraq, of course. And the US also still has a military presence in northern Syria, where it's been allied for many years with Kurdish forces in the fight against Islamic State, but now also maintains a military presence to sort of counter this Iranian land bridge or the threat from Iran to US interests and allies.
Tehran-backed groups operating in this region have been particularly active since October 7th.
So let's remove all of these and take a look at what's been happening. On October 7th, Hamas attacked Israel here on the border with Gaza. Israel responded with a major military offensive on Gaza. But Iran's allies have also responded to this Israeli attack from different sides. Most importantly, the Hezbollah militia in the northern part with Israel has engaged in skirmishes with Israeli soldiers. Iranian militias in Syria have also gotten closer to the border where they have engaged in skirmishes. Down here in Yemen, the Iranian allied Houthi rebels have both fired rockets at southern Israel, but also captured a vessel in the Red Sea.
The Houthis also launched drones and missiles at other commercial vessels in the area. That led to a US-led multinational task force stepping in to try and protect one of the world's most vital shipping lanes. And elsewhere, Iranian-backed militias in Iraq and Syria conducted nearly 100 rocket attacks against US forces over the past 2 months, according to the Pentagon.
Even though there's been these types of attacks with increased frequency over the past decade or so, in this context, of course, they compound pressure on Israel and help sort of pressure Israel in this context where they're fighting Hamas in Gaza.
Although Iran's axis of resistance has claimed attacks on multiple fronts amid the Hamas-Israel war, Middle East analysts believe a wider regional conflict is unlikely for now.
Even though other parts of this alliance have distanced themselves from the October 7th attacks, the fact that there was a big attack on Israel has given the alliance a bit of momentum, but also put a little bit of pressure, to be honest, on some of the other militant groups to both to strike with Israel and to come to the defense of the Palestinians who are now under severe airstrikes and a ground invasion in Gaza.
So far, groups in the alliance have been sticking to calculated and strategic strikes, rather than moves that could risk a full-blown conflict with Israel and its allies.
It's not just a war between Israel and Hamas, it's more complaint. You can see how America is involved in this war and how America is important in this war, supporting Israel, but it's not just supporting Israel, supporting his presence in the Middle East. We need to remember that there are not peace agreement between Israel and Saudi Arabia. The peace agreement between Israel and Saudi Arabia were really very close, very, very close. And the war that Hamas started, it was also a way, perhaps, to cancel this peace agreement between Saudi Arabia and Israel. But we need to remember that Israel signed peace agreement with Egypt, with Jordan, with Morocco, and with other Islamic nations. But it will be very, very important to sign a peace agreement with Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia, it's one of the more closest countries from America in the Middle East. And they have petrol, and this is one of the reasons that America is so close from Saudi Arabia, and also from the other nation in the Gulf. We are talking about Qatar, and Qatar also, it's very difficult to understand, but because in one hand, Qatar support Hamas, but they negotiate the liberation of the hostages. It's really very difficult to understand. Yes, the same nation who support terrorists. We need to remember that the main leaders of Hamas, they used to live in Qatar, and Israel have like an agreement that they can enter to kill the Hamas leaders inside Qatar. This is the reason that why Israel killed the Hamas leaders inside Iran or inside Syria, but they didn't enter to Qatar. And another we need to see, because we need to have the general view. Do you remember where was organized the last World Cup? The last World Cup was organized in Qatar. Qatar was showing to the world that they are so open and so nice people, but they support terrorism. Okay. And sometimes when you organize this kind of competitions and you try to show another face from your country, you try to show the excellence. Sorry.
Qatar also puts money into our schools, all our colleges. Qatar is big, big, big in supplying people to teach and money in many, many of our colleges.
I don't trust Saudi Arabia. I'm sorry, I don't trust them.
Why?
Don't trust their king or prince or whoever he is.
But we are talking about Saudi Arabia as one of the main allies from United States. And we need to remember during the first Trump administration, the Air Force One depart from the Saudi Arab airport directly to Tel Aviv, and it was the first time in the history that a plane who take off from Saudi Arabia lands in Israel. And everybody saw this like a light for the future, for future peace agreements. We need to understand that if Israel have peace agreement with Saudi Arabia, with Syria till now, yes, from the Israeli independence, in fact, they stay still in war because they didn't recognize the existence of Israel, yes, from 1948. And Lebanon, it's under the Syria rules. They don't have their own position. And then also Lebanon didn't have peace agreement with Israel. This is very sad to say, but this is the situation. And if we have peace agreements with Lebanon, with Syria, with Saudi Arabia, this is very bad for Iran, for Iraq, and for other Arab countries who are against Israel, because the most important countries will develop a good relationship with Israel. In fact, Israel sell many of their products, but sell many of their products via or through Europe. And instead to see the product made in Israel, they change and they put another stamps in the products. And we heard about the Israeli boycott, or the boycott against Israel, the BDS. Yes, is the commercial boycott. Don't buy Israeli products. And the Arab countries who are against Israel try also by the economical way, by the commercial way, to cancel the good relationship between the Arab countries, the other Arab countries, and Israel. It's really a very complex situation in the Middle East. It's more than a war between a small group of terrorists against Israel. But we need to remember that Israel, it's the unique democrat country that we have inside Israel many Arab deputies who have the right to vote, and the Arab population inside Israel have the right to vote and to practice their own religion, and the Palestinian women who live inside Israel have the right to dress different than other Palestinian women in Middle East. You don't see burqa inside Israel, okay? You see the Palestinian woman dressing blue jeans.
You see burqa in France.
Yes, and you can see the faces of the Palestinian woman, and this is something that the press don't talk about, and they are talking about the genocide, and it's not a genocide. It's not a genocide. A country who have more than 2 million Arab citizens. It's not a genocide. A country who provide water, electricity, and food to Gaza. We need to remember this to our enemies and the people who talk bad about Israel, who provide electricity, who provide gas, who provide food nowadays. It's Israel. It's Israel. And we need also to consider another important point. Sometimes we heard some different ideas about Middle East. When Donald J. Trump was the candidate, he suggests to move the Palestinian population from Gaza to other countries. And in fact, in the last months, more than 16,000 Palestinians went to other Arab countries. Most of them enter to Egypt and enter to Jordan. Why? Because United States it's paying for this. Okay, we are talking about taxes, and we are talking about commercial agreements. If you open your borders for the Palestinian population, I'm not going to charge or to increase the taxes, or I'm going to pay for the service to open the borders to reconstruct Gaza in the near future. But we have many tunnels inside Gaza. We have many weapons inside Gaza. We still have the hostages. Try to imagine the position of the Israeli families who have a relative inside Gaza. They don't know if they are alive or not. It's really very complex situation. And we are in a new world with many new administrations, and it's like a game. I give in this, you receive this, you are taking this. You know that the war industry, it's also a good business. When we have a war, you sell weapons, and you have a war there, and nowadays we have a war between Pakistan and India, and we have another war between Russia and Ukraine. and we have small wars inside Africa, but not again between countries inside the same countries. The situation is really very, very difficult. But Jews, who are less than 100% of the entire population in this world, it's like that all the problems, it's like that we are responsible for all the problems that happen in the earth. It's very sad to say. We are 0.2 of the entire population. And it's like that the main problem of the humanity is the state of Israel. And but we are taking for the values, we are talking about values. Did you know what happened in the last Yom HaZikaron in a Reform synagogue in Israel? Yom HaZikaron, it's the day before Yom HaTzmaut, the Independence Day. And in that synagogue in Ra'anana, the rabbi organized together Arabs and Israeli citizens who lost their relatives in the Yom HaZikaron before Yom HaTzmaut in the Independence War. Okay, they were people who were killed or who died from both sides, from the Palestinian side and from the Israeli side. And this synagogue decided to organize a remembrance day together, Palestinian and Israeli. And many people from the extreme right knows about this event, and they attack the synagogue, and they attack the rabbi, and they attack the citizen. And this happened just 1 week ago. And this is the hate that also you see from the extreme right in Israel. We are talking about Israeli citizens. Okay, you can reject or you can be against this kind of remembrance acts, but it was inside a synagogue. And one of the problems is when we generalize the situation. And we can't say the Palestinian, we can't say the Jews, we can't say the Israelis. Okay, it's very dangerous when we generalize the conflict. Okay, I know that there are many Palestinians who would like to live in peace, many Israelis who would like to live in peace, but what happened in October 7 changed the mind of many Israelis who were in favor of a Palestinian state, and now they reject a Palestinian state. I don't know what will happen. It will take a lot of time, because when you have a big hate, it's difficult to sit down and to talk about peace. Now they are talking about, once again, an army presence, permanent presence in Gaza. If this will happen, the war will continue, with army or without army, because we need to remember when Israel went out from Gaza and Gaza received a lot of money, instead to build tunnels or to buy weapons, instead to develop education, instead to develop hospitals, health, they develop the terrorist group. And this is very sad. We need to think also that all the Palestinians who used to work in Israel they don't cross anymore the border to enter to Israel. And if you visited Israel in the past, you can remember how many Palestinian employees you met in your trips. They were in the hotels, they were working in the hotels, they were working in the kibbutzim, they were working in any place. And now Israel will need employees from other countries. Israel will open their borders for employees, for example, from Thailand. Many of the hostages were from Thailand. Why? Because Israel changed, and instead to receive more Palestinian, they receive people from Thailand and from other Asian nations, Asia states, and also from Africa, many employees from Africa. I don't know what will happen. What I know that Israel need a new prime minister. Sometimes I heard that the solution will be when a civilian will be the prime minister of Israel. We don't need any more people from the army to be prime ministers. And if you review the history of Israel, many of the prime ministers were from the army. Perhaps we need more civilian in the government with another point of view. Nowadays, Naftali Bennett would like to come back and to be the prime minister. We don't know what will happen, but we have the name of Benny Gantz, we have the name of Bennett, and we can see that the big problem in Israel that you never have a majority in the Knesset. You always depend from the Orthodox groups to create the government, to create the new administration. And when you have these small parties, it's a problem because they receive a lot of money and they are not giving nothing this money. You have the Orthodox parties and that they are radicals in many ways. And this is the big problem of the day of Israel. I pray, and we need to support the state of Israel, and we need to pray for peace, and we need to pray here in America and in all countries around the world. We need to pray for peace. When I was invited to participate here in the Iftar dinner, it's the dinner in the months of Ramadan. It's a month of fast, and then after the sunset, they organize a dinner. I was invited, and I was thinking twice if I going to attend or not because the situation of the war. Finally, I decided to attend, and I was really very welcome. And I said in front of our Muslim brothers and sisters, I said that I'm sure that we have many things in common, but in this room, everybody it's against terrorism, and everybody agree. Yes, we need to work and we need to show what we have in common. And I said, perhaps you say Ibrahim, and we say Abraham, we say Moshe, and you pronounce Musa, but we are talking about the same. And we are talking about the same values. And for us, family is important, respect is important, to keep commandments. There is not a religious book who is talking or who is when you can read about to kill the others. But you have the right to defend yourself. This is what is written in the Talmud. If someone is coming to kill you, you have the right to kill the other. Because life is the most important value. There is nothing more important than life. And this is what we need to share with others. When we are fighting, we are defending life. And this is the value that it's important to educate the new generations for peace, to live in peace with our neighbors, and to respect the others also if they are different. And we need to do this inside our communities, inside Israel, inside our temple. We need to respect the others who are thinking different. Because this is not a uniform world. You have the right to think different. But if you are thinking different, I'm not have the right to kill you. And if you have another religion, if you have another sex, if you have another opinion, we need to respect you. And this is what we need to teach. Comments. I would like to hear your comments. Any comments? Susie, you need to open your microphone.
I have a comment.
Please.
It's very pessimistic, I guess. In the not too distant future, I think with anti-Semitism rising, I think all the Jews in the diaspora will have to go to Israel. If this continues.
Do you think that Israel will be the unique place for Jews?
Of course.
But we need to be in peace there also. Randy.
I find myself walking a tightrope as I am.
I'm sorry. What?
Let me turn my volume up. I'm sorry. I started to say I find myself walking a tightrope as someone who has converted to Judaism and loves the state of Israel and also supports humanity and has established a very close relationship with a Muslim community in Ontario. This whole since October 7th, I have felt ostracized and alienated from the Jewish community, being identified as someone who is anti-Zionist, anti-Semitic. And so I don't know where to go for my sense of community. I sit and listen to Misha Beirach praying for the IDF, which I wholeheartedly support. I never hear anyone say anything about the Palestinians who are suffering at the hands of what Israel is doing. So this has been a wilderness experience since day one. There's nothing dearer to me than the Judaism that I hold very strongly. And so I have mixed feelings. I appreciate what you have shared, and yet I find myself at a crossroads of where do I go from here, because I am not welcomed within the broader Jewish community. having come from Christianity, there's some aspects of that that I can understand. And then having been befriended by Southeast Indian Muslims, I can see how bridges are much more advantageous. And I also see the complexity of all. So my journey as a chaplain has been marred by this situation. My journey as a Jew, and in a sense, also my journey as a person who happens to be gay and has a daughter who is trans. I don't know where to go to find my sense of belonging, because I don't feel as if Judaism is welcoming me, even though we are admonished to love the stranger, even in our midst. So I come to this moment with trepidation, anxiety, and yet my love for Judaism remains. So I thank you for the opportunity to share that. This is not something that I have been allowed to speak about publicly because it is so diversive and divisive. So I've learned to keep my mouth shut, and I'm not sure where this journey will take me.
Thank you, Randy, for sharing your feelings, your opinion. Jason, you like to say something?
I just wanted to reach out to Randy and say that I accept you and thank you for your strong words. For whatever it's worth, I know I'm very new. As a Gen Xer, a lot of what is discussed, like Israel being at war, it seems that it's been that way my whole life. Israel has always had enemies, has always had to defend itself. I am in a situation where my family is Christian, Muslim, and Jewish. So as you can imagine, some of the conversations can be pretty intense. It is difficult for me to speak about it also in the situation I'm in. As someone who is a student of history, I see some of Israel's history similar to Americans' history, especially in the early parts. But it gives me hope that even though sometimes history will tell us very clearly what some of the missteps and mistakes have been, that we're human beings, we all make them. And we need to try to hold on and learn from them, to grow towards peace, to let the arc be towards recognizing each other as human beings and to recognize the good in ourselves and in others. That we're the words "love thy neighbor" are very important to me too, and I really thank you, Rabbi, for talking about that. If we can do that, we can overcome many of the old problems that plague humanity as a whole. War being one of the most, or the worst. Anyway, even though I usually will remain silent on such things, I remain optimistic that we can build the bridges. Israel can become much better at making friends than it is at making enemies. And some of that would be the fault of the Israeli government. Some of that is not their fault at all. Sometimes just because they're there, which is, Am Israel high. But thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Randy, you're a better Jew than I am. We all love you here.
Okay. Carolee, Wendy, John, if you like it, the floor is yours. If you like to add any word, any comment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Randy, I really feel for you.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know even how to. I really feel that that October 7th has really changed a lot, not only in Israel, but in this country. It disturbs me greatly to see flags of Hamas flying on in the middle of New York and all the rest, and people shouting anti-Jewish things. I never thought in my life, especially after the Holocaust, that we would see such anti-Semitism, and how Israel gets blamed for something that they were attacked and killed, and how the world is not really seeing what really happened and is fomenting this anti-Semitism. It's really, really bothering me, especially among young people who don't know the history. They're not taught any history.
They're not.
And they're marching for a terrorist organization. Just, I'm astonished.
Thank you, Caroline. I always love to give an example about these young people who march to support terrorism. It was a march in Brazil in favor of Hamas, and one Jewish guy entered in this march, and he started to shout, Palestinian Bnei Zona, Palestinian Bnei Zona. Bnei Zona, it's something really very bad. Okay, we are between adults, and I can say this. He started to shout Palestinian son of bitch. And the people who were in the march, they were so ignorant that they start to shout together, Palestinian Bnei Zona. This shows us that they are listening, and they are repeating, and they don't know what they are talking, and they are manipulating. And this is very sad, because many people are talking about it also very ambiguous. I don't remember which country. It was a LGBTQ plus march who support Hamas, and they say, try to go to Middle East, and if you are LGBT from the LGBT community, you will be the first to be killed by Hamas. And you are coming here to support Hamas. And many women organizations who support Hamas, many people who support Hamas, and they don't have the idea
Absolutely.
what is to live in Middle East, to live in and to live in Gaza. I can do a parallel. There are many people who support Cuba, but they never went to the island to see how is to live in a communist regime. Okay, but they are in favor of Cuba, or they were in favor of Castro family, etc., but they never put a feet in the island. It's very easy to speak from outside, but we have relative insight, and we know the situation, and we are feeling in our own skin this hate and this anti-Semitism and this situation that we never imagined that can happen, something like this in America.
Right.
That it's a country who support democratic values and respect from minorities and different communities. And it's a country that was built by different communities and different group of immigrants. My friends, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Here for express your thoughts, and it's very important for us to know, to talk, and for the people who think different, to try to establish dialogue when it's possible. Sometimes it's impossible to dialogue, but when it's possible to establish a dialogue, I suggest to talk, to be patient, and to explain. And this is something that we are always doing. We extend our hand for peace, and we will extend always this hand for peace for our neighbors. Thank you very much for your attention. Randy, I will call you. I need to talk with you. Okay, I will call you tomorrow. I will send you a message, but I need to talk with you. I waiting for you tomorrow in person, online, for the service. Tomorrow we have the service will start 6:30. Okay. Thank you for your attention, and thank you very much for being here.
Kira,
Have a good evening.